Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. We're excited here today to just talk about AI and law enforcement in general and how we can use it and what we need to learn about it when it comes to investigations today.
So we'll jump right into it for the respect for this time frame that we have, which is short. So imagine you getting a call from a loved one and their voice has been cloned, the image can be faked, and their words can be fabricated. It's not them. So this is a reality that law enforcement across the country is dealing with in regards to deep fakes and synthetic media. Now, the landscape of artificial intelligence is vast. There's a lot to talk about here. There's a lot to cover. And what Ergen and I are going to focus on for this is diffusion models and the utilization of image generation. Now, here in New Jersey, we've seen law enforcement keep pace with technology, and we've kept pace with technology in regards to being able to lower the violent crimes throughout the state. But that doesn't happen just because of technology or AI as we would have here. That stems from committed leadership, the troopers, detectives, task force officers, investigators, analysts, and civilians who embrace technology and AI in a responsible manner. All of that being said, you may see us go through this pretty quickly. This is a long and I would say, as Ergen giggles, uh, not complicated, but it's a realm into where we can get very deep into the weeds, but we're just going to try to keep it moving as quick as possible, answer some questions at the end, and hopefully you get something from this. So let's start off.
All right. It's hard to be not it's hard to not be too technical about something that's technical. So I apologize. I try to make everything as understandable as I can to just the everyday person when it comes to these slides. So bear with me. If you see me looking up, it's not because I'm in deep thought. I have a bigger screen over here, so I'm just looking at the PowerPoint. All right. So disclaimers in general, right? AI images, you can use them in your investigations. We tell everybody, as long as it's within your policies and procedures, follow your SOPs. When it comes to your legal, your prosecutors, have them on board if you do decide to use it. Also, understand it because you're eventually going to come across this in your everyday investigations, especially going forward with AI images, AI videos, and what they're capable of nowadays. So just understanding, we're going to go over understanding AI image generators, the risks and dangers, legal hurdles. We're gonna walk you through actually how we end up creating them, the process of how it's done, and best practices. So,
Yeah, so what are image generators? Image generators, and we won't read from slide to slide, and you can, advance forward, but they're tools that create pictures based on descriptions and algorithms that they have been trained on. So here we have three images that Ergen has.
yeah, just going back, we're going to talk about prompts. This prompt right here is a beach at sunset with palm trees. So going to the next slide. There's three images here. We created these images. So what I like to point out is that this isn't a Google image search where I just searched these images and I just downloaded them. These were created on a machine that was not connected to the internet with image models that are trained on pictures. So those images in general, we call them, when we investigate anything that's image related, we have hash values. What hash values are is they're fingerprints for pictures. All those are unique hash values, meaning that there's no other picture that exists that are like those three that we generated here. So the process of how it works, data collection, these models, uh, if you ever heard of Stable Diffusion, just throw it out in the chat. Stable Diffusion, August 22nd in 2022, Stable Diffusion was released. So with that said, it was one of the first biggest open source image generators out there. That model itself, I think it was trained on over 1.5 billion pictures that is scraped from the internet. What it does is it looks at pictures and it captions them. So if it sees a picture like a dog, a tree, a car, It's the image and then a caption that goes along with the image.
And it's continually doing this for the millions of images that it has.
So the process, it's not memorizing the pictures. It looks at the pictures, it's pattern recognition. It's looking at shapes, colors, different values in the picture that make it unique. So one of the ones we generated here, we inputted a basic prompt, like a cat playing a piano. And this was the output. So what did the model do when it created these images, right? A cat, it's trained on a bunch of pictures of cats, it's trained on a bunch of pictures of pianos, and it's also trained on pictures of someone or something playing the piano. So what it does is it tries and combines all these things together that you're prompting it and trying to give you a final output. So we'll go to the next one. Yeah, same thing. Refining is part of the generation process. So it's in the beginning stages where it's reading your prompt and then it's going through this entire database and it's trying to put together these little, whether it's shapes, pictures, smaller pictures, colors, and combining them into one large image. So again, at the end of it, based on everything it knows, it puts together a cat playing a piano.
Which is more refined, as you saw in regards to the initial picture. So latent space and magic. Latent space and magic, in essence, as you see here for this slide, you're going to have the model go through a plethora of possibilities and images that it has been trained on, so that when you give it the prompt, a sunset over a mountain, you end up with a refined final image, as you see here.
Fine tuning, I really like. So when it comes to these image generators, you can make pictures look like anything, whether it's art, realistic, anywhere in between. When you generate the image, so if we go back one, you saw the Mona Lisa where it kind of looked like it was just sketched out, or with whether it's like through pencil or crayon or whatever it is, you can have an AI image model refine it and actually turn it into a masterpiece. So like your kids, they give you a picture of a crayon drawing, you can actually use AI image models and turn it into something much more complex and in depth. I want to say better, but I didn't want to offend anybody.
Yeah.
So controlling styles is really important when it comes to different models. So depending on if you're using it for law enforcement to create an actual persona, or if you're using it for something non-law enforcement related, something artistic, depending on what model you use, it matters. So you can have models that are trained on artwork that understand things like Van Gogh's artwork. And you can have models that aren't trained on it that don't, like if you were to input the prompt, hey, generate me a picture of something that looks like Van Gogh's artwork, where it might not be able to do it, and which we do have examples of.
So the next model, we asked it for a specific style of pictures in Van Gogh, and we ended up with this.
So this one, we try and include the model that we use to generate this. This is a Stable Diffusion's Excel model. As you can tell here, that looks like Van Gogh's artwork to me. I mean, it even has Starry Night in the background of one of them. So I know for a fact that this model specifically was trained on Van Gogh's artwork. Going to our next model, Flux One Dev. Lou and I love this model for realism. When it comes to generating personas, this one does a way better job. But what do we see here? We use the same prompt we used previously for SDXL. And the output for that prompt, it didn't come out as good. That, to me, that looks like an artistic, portrait of a dog, but not in the form of Van Gogh's artwork. Now we can skip to the next one. So,
yeah,
why does it work? My favorite way to explain this is in the state police, we have our forensic artists, right? Our sketch artists, where they're given a description of something, and from their training and experience, they're able to sketch out something that looks almost identical to what somebody's describing to them. That's based on a time, experience, training, if they went to art school maybe, or maybe if they're self-taught, but that's something that happens over time. With these image generators, it's the same thing, pattern recognition, it's learning. Next one. All right. So if you've heard of any of these image generators, I mean, I've been talking about Stable Diffusion, talked about Flux AI. When I say Flux One Dev, that was actually made by Flux AI. Black Forest Labs, those were individuals that actually used to work for Stable Diffusion. They decided they can make a better product on something that fits what they're looking for. So they branched off and started their own company. But Dolly's a huge one that's out there. They're closed sourced. When I say closed source, that means that everything that they have and own is proprietary to them. Stable Diffusion, most of their products are open source, meaning I can download it today and use it for free. Midjourney, proprietary, and Flux AI, most of their products too, open source. So we're cops. We like free products because, you know, everyone knows in government, you know, budgetary concerns are, you know, it's a thing. So when it comes to being able to use something like this, open source products will definitely help you.
And just real quick, we're very accustomed and aware of the tech space. So as quickly as we make some of these presentations, some may be saying, well, what about Nano Banana? Those who are in the know. Things are constantly being created and made. So Nano Banana by Alphabet, Gemini, Google, if you will, is another image generator model that is on the up and go and popular. This is next. What is prompting? Prompting is a huge and it's a very important aspect to the creation of images and what they look like, their quality, and your end goal. Prompting, in essence, and how you talk to the model, and what I like to state in our trials and errors in regards to diffusion models as well as your large language models. Depending on the size of it, depending on your machine, you may get a smaller large language model that, in essence, you want to ask it, what is the capital of New Jersey? And it will tell you San Francisco. Well, it tells you San Francisco because the prompting wasn't correct. It's really based on how it understands your question as to where you can ask one of the larger models that are in use today, what is the capital of New Jersey? And it will tell you Trenton. So that is a small example, and these next slides will try to hit home that it truly does come down to prompting and the language model or diffusion model that you are trying to get a specific result with, because as we talked about with SDXL, Stable Diffusion, or Flux One Dev, the prompt that you give either one of those models is going to give you a different outcome. And sometimes even within the same model, and we're not going to go too far down that rabbit hole, you also may get slight differences in regards to the result that you'll get when you prompt. Importance of prompting, an example here. You'll have one prompt, and on the left, you'll get an image that is mutant generated in some form or fashion with two tails, and the detail and the lighting isn't as, I guess, aesthetically pleasing, if you will, or not exactly what you were looking for. But then on the right-hand side, you now have a cat with one tail, you have beautiful lighting, it's, you know, exactly what you were looking for. So unlocking the potential of prompting, adding modifiers, as we mentioned before, talking about whether you want it in the style of Van Gogh or a certain artist, if the model was trained on that, using words like hyper-realistic or anime or cartoon. Those are different keywords, and I'm looking for keywords and identifiers, if you will, that are going to drive your model or your result in a specific direction. Balanced prompting, there's overloading. There's a way and means as to, and again, excuse us if we're kind of like flying through this, but not only is there one extreme as to where your prompt is too vague, but then you can also get to the point where you're putting in too much information. So therefore, the model that you're dealing with is going to drop off the rest of your prompt. So you don't want something that has 3 words, but then sometimes, believe it or not, you put in 300 and it's not going to set all that, and you're wondering why you're not getting the result that you want. So you really need a solid balance in the prompts that you utilize with these different models. Variations in prompting. and what I mentioned before, you have different training data sets, the architecture of it, tokens and parameters, something that we can go far down on. The response to the prompt link, community tooling ecosystems, whether it's open source, closed source, what it understands. Prompt engineering, that is a real thing. That is a space that is developing as of right now, and it is a balance between art and science, without a doubt. You have your specific algorithms that you should follow and your patterns that you should follow, but then there's that creative aspect and how you put those two things together. So experimentation, as you see, is the first bullet here, is important. Thinking outside of the box, how can I put these words and phrases together in a creative manner to, get this model to understand what it is I'm trying to achieve, as well as learning from your examples and drills. You got something? Good.
No, good. All right. So when it comes to prompt examples, some models out there, they require it. You definitely need a positive prompt is basically what you're looking for. And some do have the negative prompt option. There's only one in specific I could think of that doesn't use negative prompts. That's Flux One Dev. That one, you can't input a negative prompt. So this one was, I think we used SDXL to generate. So for a positive prompt, you can look at the way it's set up, right? A vintage low res selfie photo, a blonde 30-year-old wearing jeans and a sweater. Right here, I have strength indicators. I want this individual to look shy. And I gave it a 1.5, embarrassed, 1.5, timid smile, 0.3, sitting on a bed, blushing face, looking at the camera. So very distinct. I'm kind of giving it exactly the instructions that I'm looking for. Negative prompt, I always throw in there, whether it's trained on it or not, I always throw in things that obviously you don't want to have in your picture. Disfigured, nude, unattractive, cartoon, animated, 3D, painting, black and white. So using this prompt example, go to the next slide. These are three outputs that were generated to us by SDXL. So looking at these specifically, I can see that pretty much everything I was looking for in the image I requested, I think it hit pretty spot on. And this is an older model in terms of realism. This did a really good job in terms of making a realistic picture. I mean, kind of looks like a picture you would see in a magazine.
I would say old is a gross understatement. Don't want to make this too long, but again, old in this realm is about 6 months, and this was done over probably 2 years ago.
Yeah.
All right. So this is ancient. This is far from old. The technology and where these models have gone now, where our capabilities are, and being able to drive them into what we want is far beyond this, as well as this may look to some of you. So good prompts. Photorealistic image of a golden retriever puppy. This is a prompt here. It's solid. It's descriptive, lining out where we want this to go. And here we go. We have what that prompt asks for. All right. So the takeaways from that, be specific. Again, when we're talking about those algorithms, be specific. So visual details, allowing the AI to have creative freedom, but giving it enough to go into that direction. On successful prompts, a dog outside. Now we gave you the prompt, just going real back really quick. All right. Photorealistic image of a golden retriever puppy, so on and so forth. And we have this. Now we have a bad prompt, a dog outside. Not saying that this is bad. Some of you may love the fact that it's a dog outside, but it doesn't have those qualities as we saw with the one that was a lot more descriptive.
And just so you guys understand, we asked the AI to generate us 3 pictures based off the same prompt back to back. So our machine, which is not connected to the network, everything's run locally here in a secure environment. These 3 pictures were generated. Obviously, it gave the AI freedom. We didn't give it any descriptions on what we wanted the dog to look like, and we got 3 different types of dogs here.
So bad prompting, too vague, no creative cues, generic results. Why prompting? Quality matters. A good prompt acts as a roadmap to the AI, helping it generate an image that matches your vision. Again, everything that we've been driving home. The more specific you are, but still concise and not writing out an entire essay, is going to help you get the images that you want. That's why it matters, depending on the model. So risks and dangers.
So when it comes to utilizing products like this for work, Obviously, if you're going to use it for law enforcement purposes, you want something that's secure. You want something that's run locally, not connected to the internet. You're good. There's going to be inappropriate content that can be generated. So if you're utilizing sources that are outside your network, a website, you're relying on them to create something based on whatever training data set that they're trained on. Whereas if you're utilizing something open source and you're training, we're going to get into it later. We're going to call them LoRa's. They're pretty much mini models that Lou and I train ourselves. If you're training your own things, you know what you're going to be getting. Whereas if you're using somebody else's product, you might not. You might get something that you weren't looking for or inappropriate content.
And not LoRa as in the name, but LORA, standing for low ranking adaptation, but LoRa. So privacy and digital footprints. Hit that.
Yeah. So this is going to come from our cyber background. We spent years over at Cyber Crimes Unit. When it comes to using anything online, all these online products, it's data collection. If it's free, you are the product. They're learning about you, whatever images you're generating, whatever prompts you're asking it. It's recording data about you in order to better their product. So when it comes to something, if you want to utilize something like this for law enforcement purposes, you want something that's secure, right? So you want something that doesn't collect your data, that doesn't collect your pictures or your prompts. Digital footprints, right? Your IP addresses that are hitting that website where they see that, hey, this is a government IP that's utilizing our services. In general, when it comes to safe practices for things like this, it's better to have your own secure machine set up.
Yeah, and we're aware of privacy settings and clicking options as to not collect information and not being part of data sets. But again, this is a workshop on the uses of AI and this kind of technology in law enforcement. And the best and safest practice when it comes to law enforcement officers and agencies is to work in a space that you control 100%. Not saying that everybody can, and that'll be the case. And we understand from a perspective of cost and capabilities and utilizing services that do secure what it is you're doing. However, from our personal experience and what we know and understand, if you can have a setup like this that you control from the standpoint of the generation, the logs, where everything is, that is in essence the best way to go about this. We're going to kind of fly through these because you may see your state here or one that's close to you, but this is just an existing legal framework in regards to deep fakes and not cyber, but yeah, more or less deep fakes. That's the
any laws that your states have regarding just
artificial intelligence and
AI images or artificially enhanced images.
So Texas, Florida, Louisiana, those different acts there. South Dakota, some information there. And you'll see the dates of how recent some of these things are. So New Mexico. Go there on time. Yeah. Indiana and Washington. Tennessee, Oregon, Mississippi. And here we are with challenges of and future and digital investigation. So evolving technologies, future trends, and staying updated.
All right. So I'm not going to read this to you. This is everything I'm going to go over real quick right now, just so you guys can kind of have an idea. Again, this isn't a teaching you something, trying to teach you how to do it right now. This is more to let you know that, hey, this is out there and you can teach yourself. I mean, we were able to pretty much gather as many resources as we could online and teach ourselves on how to do this. So when it comes to your forensic machine, we like to keep things isolated, not connected to a network where we're in control of everything from A to Z. This is the forensic machine that we use, whether it's grant money or state allocated money that we're able to utilize.
Personal money.
or sometimes personal money. We try and spec out a machine that can handle what we're asking it to.
Yeah, and these are just suggestions. You might see two cores in here. Just to clarify, we don't have two different cores in the machine. Each of us has one of the other in our forensic boxes. So
these are recommendations. If you're looking for AI toolkit I recommend. So when we generate our own smaller models to make pictures, we utilize AI toolkit. Flux 1D is probably one of the better realistic models out there. In recent months, there have been other models released that actually do a better job than Flux
Yes.
1D. So
Yes.
24 gigabytes of VRAM. That's your graphics processing unit. That's highly, highly recommended. You do need a lot of VRAM in order to run something that can generate good quality images.
At a starting point.
Yeah, so I can use this laptop that we're on right now to generate an image. It's gonna look like this image right here on the PowerPoint. Whereas if I'm trying to generate a person, this laptop here would not be able to generate a person because it requires more processing power. So this is just a screenshot of Web UI Forge. It's one of the, I know it looks complex. It's one of the more simple tools out there that you can see. There's a positive prompt, negative prompt. This is something I can talk about this for like 3 hours, but if you do have time, look into it. It's Stable Diffusion's Web UI Forge. We do have our emails at the end of this. So if you do have questions, especially questions we don't get around to, please email us and we'll be happy to take the time to answer them.
Yeah, Ergen's been a lot deeper in the weeds for the past 3 years than I have. And, on the heels of him and catching up to this, when we were reviewing, he said this is not as complicated. And I had to remind him, no, this is complicated. Somebody looking at this isn't going to understand it offhand. However, we will absolutely walk through any law enforcement agency officer that's interested in getting into this and explaining how this works, but this does wonders.
All right. This is AI Toolkit. This is kind of the process of, not to scare anybody, although it does look kind of scary, right? If you've never seen it before, but for our tech savvy people, it's just the command prompt when you're training images and how that process looks on the back end, which Lou and I are looking at this screen consistently when we're utilizing our AI tools. Because if there's an error, it's in here. And we're constantly fixing things because it is an open source community, so not all tools work the way they should. So when there is an issue, error, something breaks, we find it in here and we're able to look it up and make it work. Hugging Face, one of the best AI resources out there. They host everything from large language models to AI image models, anything and everything you need. I can almost guarantee you should be able to find it on huggingface.co.
Great learning resource.
Flux 1D, obviously I've talked about this a lot. Black Forest Labs, right? They released this model and it's a really, really good model. And I think a very, very good starting point for anyone that's looking to incorporate this into investigative work.
And what you see circled in red is just the size of one of the files in this complete package, which is about 24 gigabytes. So when you're looking to get into something like this, storage is paramount.
GitHub, another website you're going to become very familiar with if you dive into this. People are on top of it. Pretty much goes with huggingface.co. All the tools and other resources you're going to be downloading, they're going to be coming from GitHub.
And I believe the next one is you walk through the process.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have everything download, install, train. Now what? So what Ergen's going to do, he did a screen capture of the process of creating an image. So that's going to be the next slide, if I remember this correct.
Yeah, based on time, my speed through this.
Okay.
Just because I want to make sure I understand, we answer as many questions as possible towards the end. I might kind of skip through this video a little bit. I'm just running the batch script right now to get everything started. Once it starts up,
Batch script, he's installing.
Yeah, so it's starting up the web user interface, which it just looks like a website. It fires up on your browser. It connects via the local IP address on your computer via that port number 7860. It can change, but right now I'm giving it a basic prompt. I have my model already loaded, a picture of a giraffe. I'm playing with these settings here that I told you I could talk about for hours, but I'm not gonna kill you with that.
And again, once downloaded, this is something that you can run locally, not connected to any outside source whatsoever.
Yeah. So, all right. So I prompted a picture of a giraffe. I got a pretty decent picture of a giraffe. And now I wasn't happy with this giraffe because it did not have a hat. So there's a feature called in paint where if I don't like the way a picture looks, or if I want to change a small section of that picture, I can select it and have it regenerate and insert an additional prompt that'll actually take that picture and start adding whatever it is I want. So I ended up selecting it, and you can see that I was able to generate a hat on top of this giraffe. If you want to change colors, you can, all you got to do is change the prompt. And I changed this one to a picture of a giraffe wearing a purple hat. And this is what I got.
Key point takeaways is that the basic picture of the giraffe remains similar or the same. And in regards to time and generation, depending on the picture, the quality, what you're trying to change, you can take anywhere from 30 seconds, a minute, up towards a minute and more than a minute, like sometimes like 5 minutes. And
Yeah.
again, depending on your hardware, software, what you ask it.
So this is great, right? It's a picture of a giraffe, and you're probably wondering, what good is this to law enforcement, right? Why is a giraffe with a purple hat? What is that going to help me in terms of law enforcement? So next video, again, I'm gonna skip through this real quick. This is a personal model that I trained on myself. I took pictures of myself. I generated a smaller model set that works together with Flux One Dev. And I can change myself to whatever I need. So when it comes to social media, let's skip on this one. There we go. All right. So the prompt is kind of long. I think this is recorded, so you can always go back, zoom in on this, take a good look at the prompt that I used when I generated pictures of myself. So if I want to make myself younger, if I want to change myself to a young 11-year-old girl or a 30-year-old woman, whatever persona I want to take on, or if I want to change facial features for myself, or maybe I'm doing an online operation and I need pictures and I need the model to be based on me, and this is what I can use. So I'm not going to have you sit here, wait for this to load. So this is a model that was trained on me. And by prompting it, I asked to change my age, change my gender, and I made it at a Christmas party, at a family Christmas party. So the second part of this, what I do is, all right, I'm not happy with the clothing. Maybe I want to, I don't know, change the white shirt to a pink sweater or black sweater. Whatever it is that you're looking for, anything is possible. And sometimes you might need multiple generations to get what you're looking for. But nowadays, the new models that are out there, they're really good and they're very accurate.
Now, to give a little bit of perspective on this, again, this is an older presentation. And yes, aware that there are models out there now that are available to the public. Nano Banana, I mentioned that are doing these things. Remember, these were done months and years ago before those things were available. So we are, in essence, trying to stay ahead of the curve and pretty much perform the task and the outcomes that you're seeing now publicly.
All right, go to the next one. All right. That's, if you didn't notice, that's Lou.
Yeah, so these are images that will generate and generated for the purposes of this presentation showing what we can do locally.
And some of these you can tell it's got that AI look to it where it's like really good. And some of them we generated to make it look like make them look like older pictures that were taken on a phone. So in terms of whether it's professional photography or amateur photography, there's different models that you can use to make it look like what you want. So this is the picture on the left is an actual picture of me sitting inside my office. That's Darth Vader in the background, my locker. That in paint feature that I showed you where you select an area and you regenerate, I used it on a real picture. So the real picture's on the left. I selected myself. I said, turn me into a 20-year-old woman. And that's the middle image result. And then I said, all right, let me make myself younger, turn me into, I think I used like an 8-year-old girl. And that's the results on the right side. So in painting and editing a real image, whether it's a real place or you need to use a real place as part of your investigation, this is always an option.
And a very key point to this, and it is recorded, but you can look at the differences in the image, what remained the same and what changed. So just looking at his face in general, he went from a smile to a smirk, but everything in the background, in essence, remains similar.
I like to throw this in. We're not going to get into videos because we could make this presentation probably like a few hours long if we really wanted to. But
I'm trying to burn through this.
Video is also an option nowadays. So I took that middle image and just wanted to breathe a little life into it. Short 5-second video, right? You can make these as realistic as you want. That's just me saying, hey, when I prompted it, hey, just make her smiling at the camera, moving around. Go to the next slide.
And just real quick, that isn't the option as you would have on a phone where it's taking a motion picture. That is a still image that has no motion attached to it that the model then animates.
All right. All right, decided to have a little fun with this one and bring Darth Vader to life. I didn't know if it would be capable of doing it because it all depends on the model, but the model was actually able to make Darth Vader move and swing the lightsaber around, which I thought was pretty cool. We're gonna rip by this one real quick. ControlNet is a good option for different forms, poses. If you want someone to, I don't know, say like part of your investigation, you need somebody doing peace sign and you're having trouble generating that picture where it's not coming out right, where only one finger is up or the fingers come out messed up, which occasionally does happen, less nowadays, but still happens every once in a while. You can control that using the ControlNet option.
Or different poses. So you want somebody pointing in a specific direction, looking in a specific direction, dancing, walking, running. This is basically what it does with different images. That's ControlNet. So real quick, as we're about to round this out, AI or human? Human.
You could type it into the chat if you guys want.
Yep. AI or human? AI. AI or human? AI. AI or human? AI. How well are you doing so far? AI or human? Human. AI or human? AI. Who's 100 for 100 so far? AI or human? AI.
I like this one. When Stable Diffusion first came out in 2022, this was one of the first pictures or one of the first 1,000 pictures I generated within a week of having it just to see what it's like when it comes to generating people. You can tell this is definitely AI generated,
I don't
but
know. I thought it was human.
still not terrible, right? But you know, it's got that AI look to it. And
AI or human? Human. AI or human or a well-filtered social media picture? AI. AI or human? Human? AI or human? I think you're getting the point. I'm gonna think about two or three more. AI or human? This one had Ergen thinking. That's human. That's my Uncle Ronald. AI or human? Human. AI or human? Our director might know.
definitely AI.
Human. He took it. AI or human? This is definitely human. No, AI. All right.
All right, we have a quick video for you guys. This is with Reid Hoffman. I think he was actually co-founder of LinkedIn. Plenty of books out there. Really smart guy. When he released this video, I think this video is about. I think it might be about 2 years, maybe 2023, April of 2023. So it's old. It's old
Ancient.
enough.
Ancient.
Yeah, it's ancient in terms of AI, but this was back a couple of years ago. So just sit tight and enjoy.
Well, let's let it go.
Reid AI, introduce yourself to everyone. Hello, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here today. I'm an AI-generated version of Reid Hoffman, his digital twin. My thinking and everything I am saying comes from a custom GPT that is based on 20 years of Reed talking and making content. So I've read all his books, watched his speeches, and listened to his podcasts. I think it gives me a pretty good sense of how you approach the world, Reed.
So first, I'm going to challenge Read AI with some questions, see what it can do, how good its content is in mirroring what I might say.
Then the tables will turn and I will challenge you with some questions about AI and tech.
Of course, for the second question, whether or not I'll answer.
Well, okay, challenge accepted.
Let's get started. Let's take a real piece of work from me, Blitzscaler. I wrote a 336-page book. And how do you explain it in one sentence? To a smart person, to a 5-year-old, well, for the Star Trek fan, in Klingon, and as Jerry would explain it in Seinfeld.
Okay, condensing your entire strategy from a 336-page book into one sentence, and starting with the explanation for the smartest person in the world. Blitzscaling is a strategic acceleration of organizational growth to seize market dominance by prioritizing rapid expansion over efficiency, leveraging capital and network effects to outpace competitors in winner-takes-all markets, despite the attendant risks to scalability and operational stability. Now, for a 5-year-old, blitzscaling is like building the biggest tower super fast before anyone else, even if it gets a bit messy, so you can be the leader of the tower game. And now for a Klingon, blitzscaling OH plus Vittelheg Duj Luchar Glutavistelhab A Dok Bam Viol, Hawk competition by POQ A Market Dahara. And finally, like Jerry, in a Seinfeld episode, blitzscaling, it's when a company decides to floor it on the highway of business, ignoring the speed limit, racing to be the first to that big golden market share in the sky, all while hoping they don't run out of gas or, hit a tree. It's like, who cares if we're burning cash like it's a bonfire? We're getting to the front of the line, baby. Efficiency, please. That's for those in the slow lane watching us fly by.
Read AI?
All right, so we'll open it up for Q&A. Any questions you guys have? Some of you had some really good questions in the chat. Obviously, we want to save them till the end. So whatever questions you got, please throw them at us. We'll answer them the best we can.